editing that we need to do.
You keep
and
track of time.
Yeah, go ahead and start your timer now so that we can figure out when the pre-show starts, when it ends, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, we'll be a couple seconds off, but
that's fine.
It's fine.
I usually when I'm editing, I usually go like 10 or 20 seconds anyway, so it's not a big deal. But then I'll keep track of each segment. So I'll keep track of, okay, it's been 20 minutes or whatever.
Okay. By the way, real quick, I feel like the healthiest homeless person right now.
Yeah.
Because like I'm not skinny, but like my beanie and my beard is like I live on the street.
My God, it was so funny. Have you seen the Honest trailer for Shazam?
Nuh-uh.
Oh my God, it was so funny because it's like there's this one part. It's all like he has the, the something of whatever, but the wear of, I can't remember the name. But then they show Chappelle wearing almost the exact same thing that Billy Batson wears, and he like drinks a Red Bull and he's like Shazam.
So I thought I was over getting mad at the DCEU, but I'm not.
Well, it's impossible to.
Well, did you see the deleted scene from Shazam that's on the DVD?
No.
So you saw Shazam, right?
I did saw Shazam, yeah.
Okay. So there's a deleted scene where they're all of them when they're as like their other selves, like all the kids.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact name for them, but they're all sitting in the throne chairs in the sanctum or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
And they're all just sitting there and they're like all like, and they look over and they're like, hey, there's an extra chair. And like they have a little bit of dialogue, but it's a nod to Black Adam because they bring up Black Adam in the movie.
Oh, okay.
And it's on the DVD, so it is a deleted scene that they added. So it's not like something that they cut and then they just.
I wonder why they wouldn't make that like a mid-credit scene or
That's
something.
what I'm saying is like, but I think that speaks to their whole like we don't know what the fuck we're doing because like they talked about The Rock being Black Adam 2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
Before they even talked about Shazam. And so it's like, I think they didn't put that in there purposely because they're like, we don't know when we're going to do Black Adam.
Yeah.
But then they saw a report that said Black Adam.
The one part I really fucking hated is how they had Superman there, but like they shot him from the neck down. It's like, okay, they couldn't just front a little bit of money, or Henry Cavill couldn't have just like showed up for shits and giggles.
Well, it's
like,
not that. What? I know why they did that.
Why?
Because Henry Cavill, I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but he's out as Superman. Like he's done with Superman. He's not going to do Superman again. So by them doing that, that kind of gives it a leeway to say, hey, this could exist in the DCEU where Henry Cavill is Superman, or it could exist where someone else is Superman. But at the same time, it's Henry Cavill's it's Man of Steel Superman suit.
Exactly. So I mean, either way, it is pretty fucking stupid that they didn't just give him that. So
now, just for clarification, I did see something that Black Adam isn't going to meet Shazam until Shazam 3, which
is
stupid. It's fucking stupid. I don't fuck you, DC. Fucking done with you.
Well, would you like some good news?
Sure.
I got some good news. Well, I mean, I've had some pretty bad news lately because obviously I have my back injury.
Yeah, I was about to say you're bedridden, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm still in my bed. I'm doing better. Like I'm a little worried because I'm going to be going back to work on Sunday. And so, yeah, I'm worried that am I going to be able to actually return and everything? But, out of all this crap, I did get some good news.
What's that?
We've been trying for a little while, and we succeeded.
Is this about the Discord, or are you having another baby?
Having another baby.
You knowing you, I really didn't know. It could be something as little as getting the Discord back, or it's you having another baby.
Yep. So,
are you hoping for a boy? Or you?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the original plan was to have a boy first and then a girl. But then like Ashley, the douchebag that she is, decided like halfway through, it's like, no, I want a girl because like I grew up with like my sister, and then so it's like I know more about that, and I feel like I'd be more comfortable. And then sure enough, it was a girl or whatever. It's like, okay, so this time we agree, right? We're having a boy. So we can have one of each. So.
See, that's what I told my wife. I need a boy because me and my dad are the last ones with our name, like we're the last of our.
Ooh, yeah.
So I need a boy, but I really also want a girl. Like I really want.
A girl is awesome. Like it's just like even my buddy Kevin. So my buddy Kevin has 3 kids. And his last one that he just had was a girl. And like even him, after having 2 kids, says that like having a girl is just it's a different experience, And I think like this is how I put it, like mentally. Like mentally, when you're raising a boy to, this is how you should act. This is, so you have to parent a different way. You just have, that's how you have to do it. As a father, you have to parent a different way. But when you have a girl, it's all about that girl. It's like you get to spoil the absolute ever living fuck out of her. And like, that's just what you're supposed to do with your girl or whatever. Like there's so many, like there's this hilarious scene in F is for Family, the Bill Engvall animated series. There's this hilarious scene where like one of his sons get hurt and he's like, just walk it off. And like his daughter like gets like a little cut or something. He's like, oh my God. And they're like rushing to the ambulance or something like that. And his older son falls out of the fucking car and he just keeps going.
Jesus Christ. Well, either way, like the only thing, like this is so petty. It's true, but it's also like a joke. One of the only things that I'm like mentally like preparing myself for, because my kid's gonna be a gamer. Like there's I've already told Chelsea like, hey, look, like I grew up on video games. I feel like they made me kind of who I am. So it's gonna be the same thing. Like my aunt did with me with math flashcards. I'm gonna have to give flashcards to my fucking kid to be like, this is good. This next card, the loot box, bad loot box. Don't spend my money on shit you can't see. Don't do it.
Oh, and that's funny because we do have that story about the 22-year-old guy who spends, and see, like the 22-year-old, he's autistic, cerebral palsy, a lot of stuff wrong with him, and him and a lot of the other people from the same story didn't even really know they were spending real money. They thought they were spending fake money. So they didn't have the capacity to understand that what they were doing was spending real world money. I mean, how fucked up is that? But I think that's how these systems are created. Like FIFA is a perfect example, and the Jimquisition brings it up. It's like FIFA is a perfect example of it's rated E for everyone, but you have to have disclaimers saying that warnings on you shouldn't spend too much or something like that. And it's like, if you have to have warnings about your game for kids, then your game is not for kids.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what that whole ban is going for. Quid. See, this is the problem I have with UK currencies. You have the euro, then you have the pound, and then you have the quid.
Yeah, it was just a joke. Quid is like,
it
is technically a whatever. Yeah, but I was put 3,160 quid.
Pounds. Okay, so quid and pound are the same thing. Sorry, Kevin.
It's a slang. It's a slang.
Sorry, Adam, Kevin, whatever the fuck.
It's like clams.
So
I just spent 500 clams on this thing.
3,160 pound converts to about $4,000 in US currency.
Yep.
Oof.
Fucking ridiculous.
Oof.
And just the fact that like they didn't fucking know, like they didn't know that what they were doing.
That's a problem. That's a really big. That's fucking egregious. That's absolutely egregious. Because like if you're going to do that, have it clear what's going on. So even if the person doesn't like it, they know, hey, just to give you a heads up, you are spending money on this. But the fact that it shows that it's like it looks like it's fake money, it's like,
it's like 8,000 green gems or whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so they're like, oh, okay, yeah, green gems, that's what I get in game. Because I mean, obviously they give you free gems and stuff. So when they see that and they're like, oh, just spend it 3,000 gems on it, it's like, oh, I can do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's like one kid ends up spending thousands of dollars before he realizes that, yeah, I'm spending real money. It's like, it's just shit like that. Like, I think there was like a 9-year-old or 12-year-old or whatever. It's in the same story about the 20-year-old that spends 3,000 or whatever. But there's another kid where he was just playing a game on the phone, you know, and obviously phone games are even worse than like fucking FIFA, you know, but FIFA, you know, does the same trickery or whatever you want to say. So
I have a good talking point for that one that I'm going to save for the show because
sweet,
it's a funny anecdote.
Anecdote. Now, technically, we are supposed to put this on for our Patreons, but since our Patreons fucking work for us now, I'm like half tempted to not fucking do it. But
it's one of those things. Like I actually have a good idea for this. I don't have a logo for. So did we decide on Weekly Nerdy News?
Well, yeah.
Okay. So I'll see if I can do something, but I have an idea for the overlay to be like a news background.
Yeah. Could you get the link and put it in the Patreon Discord? Because technically, in the letter I sent out to you yesterday, what we were going to start doing is doing this live. So if anybody did want to join us live, they could watch us. So wait, crap, can we do this? Well, no, I guess you'd have to go to YouTube, wouldn't you?
No, I have the link right here.
Well, right, but if you give them the link, would it bring them to here or would it bring them to watching it?
That's right.
So yeah, I think you have to get the YouTube link. So get the YouTube link, throw it in the Discord before we get started, because that is what we're technically supposed to do. But like I said, they work for us now, so it's like, should we? I don't know. And while he's doing that, my friendos, how's it going? How you doing? Feeling good? That's good. In the hood. Hey. Why do trees seem so suspicious when it's sunny out?
I don't like where this is going.
I don't know. They just seem shady.
Oh, fuck me. I posted the link in there. I said, here's the link to the live broadcast of Weekly Nerdy News. Come join if you can so we can talk shit to your face.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, like, can we even? I don't even think we can see from this.
I can.
You'll have to see from your end, because like I don't know if we can see like from our end if there's like how many viewers are watching. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't even know.
Yeah, I can see it's different view when you're the one broadcasting it than if you.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed that with Anthony, I can't see anything.
Gotcha. All right, so. That's a pre-show. If anybody joins right then. Wait, what? What's going on? I forgot. I mean, we might just need to put it in the notes or whatever. So it's like, you know.
Hey, I'm not gay. I'm Kevin.
Yeah. And I mean, like, the idea is to have like the pre-show be kind of like our normal banter where we just talk and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I want to keep the pre-show for the most part, like where we don't look at the chat, do the show. Then if there are people watching, look at the chat then for the post-show. Because I feel like post-show, we've really just never even done anything. So like it's something that, you know, would, I feel like, benefit us. Oh, and this time we shouldn't have that connection problem because last time I was wireless and this time I'm wired. I did a speed check. I'm 69 up, 72 down. I know, right? 69.
Yeah, I was sitting there listening. Well, see, when we were recording it, I heard it. Like I was hearing like some distortion issues. I was like, I wonder if that came across in the broadcast. And so when I was listening to it again, it did. And I was like, oh, shit. Dude, that literally took me like fucking 20 minutes. Like that one was an easy one.
Oh, yeah, right. And I mean,
it took me longer to record. I feel like it took me longer to record that little excerpt because I had just woken up and I couldn't get the fucking words out right.
Man.
That was like the 5th take of me doing that. And I'm like, oh, God.
I know that feeling. I've done that before too. It's like you want it to be one continuous thing. So then when you fuck up, you're like, okay, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. Ah!
Yeah.
So is anybody watching right now?
As of this moment, no.
Okay. Well, then they'll just have to find out my news, later. Or they already did. And I'm just talking.
So as far as the pre-post show, I mean, we can do that. I know, like, when Kind of Funny does their pre and post, they'll like have some conversation in the chat and then get the show started and then do it again in the post. So we can play around with that.
We can play around with it. I just feel like the pre-show should be dedicated to like us warming ourselves up. Giggity.
La, 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 la.
Because like that, because we started off, we kind of laugh and joke or whatever, which just kind of gets the creative juices flowing and get us in a good mood, basically. Because sometimes just like pressing the record button gets me in a better mood. It gets me talking, and like that should be the focus. Because then we put on our best performance once we get started, and then afterwards, then worry about what they want to talk about and blah blah blah. Because obviously somebody could be in the chat like saying, hey, what's up, you fuckheads, and maybe I'm not in the mood for being called a fuckhead. So,
do you think that reads better? I was just looking at the weekly quest. I changed it instead of updates to news.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yep,
bigger related news.
Alrighty, let's get it started.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
Oh, jeez, I just like smacked my fucking screen. Alrighty. Should I do it like announcer voice? Welcome to Weekly Nerdy News. So your National Nerd Net Radio Direct. And then just cut it right to me.
We could do it one of two ways. We could do a pre-recorded thing where it's like a kind of the.
That's a good point. So let's do that right after we get done recording or whatever. Maybe that could be the post-show stuff. But let's do it that way just so that like we can get started.
Okay.
All right, and starting. Hey everybody, and welcome to your weekly nerdy news. I am your host, Nick.
And I am your host, Nate.
Welcome back to Nerd Radio, your National Nerd Net Radio Direct. Before we get started, make sure to follow us on @TX3 Productions on Twitter. You can go to threadx3productions.com or threadx3productions@gmail.com to email us. So let's get started with our weekly quest log, all your video game related news. And it would be nice to have like each segment have like its own theme. So maybe like the weekly quest log could be a little bit more like 8-bit, and then
I got you. It's a good idea. I have that marked for a segment. So
what?
I have that marked for a segment and editing.
Cool. Yeah, we want to get better at like our notes as well, since Kevin is or Adam's gonna be helping out with editing as well. All right, mark it again. First up, new Fortune and Glory patch for Dauntless adds trials. So each week is going to have a new trial, modified behemoths with hybrid abilities. The top 100 will get their name on a wall and a prestige cosmetic.
That's really cool. Dauntless has been fun. I think that playing into that idea of the game, the mythos behind the game of what the game is about, just adds more depth and more enjoyability to that game. Hopefully that also comes with some frame fixes for, the hub city, but that's just me. That's just personally, but I think that's really cool, especially the top 100 get their name on a wall, like just going to the town and seeing your name on the wall for the hunt or for the trial. I think that's really cool. It's really neat.
Not only that, but getting a prestige cosmetic. So that means that'll be a cosmetic that only that 100 get. So when you come across with this person with this like unique, like badass looking cosmetic, that, okay, they were one of the top 100s maybe I should, go on a hunt with them. And so then, they get friend requests and everything. It seems like a really cool idea, and I'm really interested to see like how they implement it. And like if the cosmetic, I would hope that since it's quote unquote prestige, they make it good enough where it's like, okay, this isn't something that they have ever done before, and I mean, in general, any reason to kind of keep playing Dauntless is a good reason, I think.
Absolutely agree. All right, the next story we have, the Division 2 could have a single player that's coming. We're going to talk about this a little bit more later on in the episode, but Twitter absolutely exploded when a director for the Division tweeted about the idea for a Division single player. I think this would be incredible. One of the things, I love Division 2. Division 2, way better than Division 1, first off. I'll say
absolutely.
That right there. Easily probably one of the best multiplayer games this year.
Absolutely.
It's also, I think, in conversations for Game of the Year.
I would hope so.
Because like it's like everything they did and are doing is top notch. Like they're showing a live service game what it should be, everything about it, and it's putting everyone to shame. But one of the things that I really wish I would get more out of the Division would be a single player experience, because I feel like the lore is there, and Division 2 had better story elements than Division 1, but also Division 2, I haven't really played for the story. A lot of times when I'm playing Division 2, I'm grinding. So I'm watching a podcast, maybe not have my headphones on, so I can't exactly hear the dialogue that's going on. If it's the main story, I'll do that. Like a lot of the main story beats are really cool, and the dialogue that goes on and what they've done with the audio logs is very compelling as well. But to have an experience like a full, like 10, 15-hour campaign or 6-hour campaign, depending on what they want to do, having a full-fledged single-player campaign that's all it is, that would be awesome. That would be absolutely incredible.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, like when you make a story that involves having 4 people in a squad goofing off and not really paying attention to, they don't pay as much attention to it, I feel like. It's just different. Not that it's bad. Once again, like you said, it is a good story. It's just that like there are so many smaller things. Like, I mean, the moments that happen in those like hologram, echoes or whatever are interesting. Now imagine like that is the story. You actually get to see those things happen because you're actually living it. Not only that, but then having some kind of Last of Us like cross-country campaign where you're like trying to get home to your family. It would just be a really cool like sidestep, and I mean, especially since it's already kind of a part of the Tom Clancy universe, it could be its own thing, and it wouldn't be that confusing for people, because they could call it something like, they could call it whatever they wanted and then have the subtitle of a Division story or something like that.
They could follow a Far Cry formula.
Yeah, and exactly. That's a good point. Yeah,
like New 5 to New Dawn. They could do something like that, and it would make sense. It
would make sense. Exactly. And the fact that, this is just being talked about or whatever, because obviously like money, for Division and like cosmetics and all this stuff. So it's like, for Ubisoft to not only treat Division 2 so well, but then actually to even like really consider this, I feel like this could be a really, really cool thing. And it could just be an additive, for the people who really enjoy the lore and the mythos, they're going to go and play it or whatever. And I feel like even if you like the Division for its multiplayer components, it's still just a really smart idea. I hope this goes through. I hope this becomes a reality, because right now it's just a tweet, but the fact that an actual like, Division director, Tim Spencer, actually went and retweeted it and started commenting on it, this is something that could be a thing. So that's really cool. So Assassin's Creed Odyssey drops their 3rd and final DLC episode, Judgment of Atlantis. So you're going to go down there with SpongeBob and Patrick.
No, this is Patrick. So yeah, they've had a DLC run called The Fate of Atlantis. They just released the 3rd episode, and I before the show I was freaking out about this because I was like, okay, cool. Odyssey's been doing some really cool things with their world. They started doing it in Origins, where it's ancient Egypt. So like you're playing real quote unquotes, but you would have moments where there would be glitches in the Animus where you were fighting like pharaohs, you were fighting like ancient Egyptian gods. They're continuing on that since this is this ancient Greece, like, Greek mythology kind of world. They're following through with that here. What I was freaking out about is a little bit of Assassin's Creed backstory for all you hardcores out there. Since Assassin's Creed 2, they've teased that there's this civilization that was before us. Later, they came to be called the Isu, but the names of them would be like Minerva, like they would be what you would expect of Greek mythological characters. And so it's been in like the present day story, these figures have been important because they are the people who predicted the end of the world. And so they've injected their stuff into the Animus, and you're encountering them like Assassin's Creed 2, 3, Brotherhood, all that good stuff. What's cool about this is I don't know the background of it. I don't know if it's like a glitch in the Animus because I haven't caught up with the DLCs yet. But you are going to actually be in Atlantis in an Isu city. So you're going to encounter Poseidon. You're going to encounter all these people who are considered the Isu, the first civilization, and interact with them and like live in this world that they've like teased and like kind of talked about just ancillarily in the other games. So it's kind of one of those, that's something that we've always wanted to know more about this. We're finally getting this in a DLC of all things. So this looks awesome. It absolutely looks incredible, and I cannot wait to get farther in this game so I can get to this DLC.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like Assassin's Creed Odyssey is definitely not one that I jumped into, but Ubisoft is just showing that they're supporting their games well after, instead of just giving up on them like Anthem. It's something that it's just really nice to see, obviously.
Yeah, if you had to pick between, because these both came out last year, between this and Red Dead Redemption 2, I've played both. Odyssey I prefer so much more because I feel I want to be in that world.
Right.
Red Dead is great. I will say that. It is fun. It is an experience. It's an enthralling experience. But Odyssey feels like it's an RPG. I haven't connected with an RPG like this since Skyrim.
Right. So Mark, I forgot to start my timer, so I don't know how long 20 minutes is. So
we started the show at 16 minutes, so we're 10 minutes in.
Okay, so we're about halfway in. Okay, so like keep in mind, I guess
I'll raise my hand when we get to it.
Sounds good. All right, I'll start the timer for next round, I swear.
Okay.
All right, so then I did the Assassin's Creed, you do the Avengers one.
Okay. All right, so the next story we have is the Avengers game by Square Enix is going to be shown at Comic-Con this weekend, but the public's not going to be able to see it. So this is a little bit of an interesting one because this isn't new. As far as like Avengers stuff or any other like comic related trailers or anything that they show at Comic-Con, typically they share that to the attendees only. The public doesn't get to see it until way later on. If anything, they might see something, it might not be exactly what they shown, which is normally not an issue. And I'm totally okay with that, because if they just showed and streamed everything to the public, then why would people buy tickets to go to Comic-Con if they could see it?
Exactly.
This one is a little bit of like I don't know, because we didn't honestly really see much of this game at E3. This was the wide, really, like this was the reveal of the game, quote unquote. But I've watched some videos talking about that, and a lot of people share the same opinion that it feels like at the E3 press conference, they were trying to sell us goodwill about the game by saying no loot boxes, no like paid DLC, all this other stuff. But we really didn't see much of the actual game.
Yeah.
We saw like a story, we saw a story trailer, we saw in-game, in-engine cinematics, but we didn't actually see the game. They showed stuff behind closed doors, but it's one of those that there's not really a lot of goodwill going with this game right now in terms of just gameplay alone. So you would think if you're showing it again, why not let the public see it before the game comes out next year?
Yeah.
It's just like weird.
Yeah, it's weird. Obviously, Comic-Con always gets their private things or whatever, but it's just the fact that it was also private at E3, and I feel like that's maybe why it's hitting everybody's nerve, is that it was already private for that. Now they're going to be showing it again, and it very much is like what we've heard. Like most of the people who did see the private thing came out afterwards. It's like, oh, okay, I actually am excited for this game, versus everybody else who only got the snippets of gameplay, because like what they saw behind closed doors was basically the elongated bridge scene where they actually got to see the gameplay versus the snippets of the gameplay. So like when Iron Man's flying through or whatever, they actually got to see the gameplay of him flying through, not just like a 2-second flash of him flying through. And then like Hulk, smashing, they didn't just see the 2 seconds that we saw in the trailer. They got to see the actual like 2-minute long of him like smashing stuff. And so this just seems like it should have been something that should have been made more public. And so now that they get it again and it's private or whatever, I just hope that it's something that they change.
Yeah, most of what I've seen is people saying this isn't Spider-Man, which which in one part is unfair to say, but also it's fair to say because Spider-Man PS4 is now like the shining example of what a Marvel game going forward should be. And it's one of those things. It's like they also really made it really confusing at that same press conference when they were talking about, hey, it's going to be a live service game. With friends, but it's also a single player story. It's like, okay, Anthem said something similar. So
exactly, that's scary.
That's a little scary. And it's talking about adding characters. It's like, so is this like a single player Ultimate Alliance? Like, doesn't really make sense. But hopefully we'll see something soon. I guarantee we'll see a leaked phone footage. At some point. That's going to be on 4chan. It's going to get taken down and re-uploaded. But we'll see what comes of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, next up, we got 22-year-old spends 3,160 quid on FIFA. Now, this was a part of a story that came out, and there was actually many testimonials, but the 22-year-old in question actually has cerebral palsy. He's autistic, and to a certain extent, he didn't even really realize what he was doing was spending real-world money. And a lot of the other testimonials had about the same kind of testimonies in the sense that they spent a bunch of money, and they didn't really know that what they were doing was spending money. They were spending in-game. They thought they were spending in-game currency. And so this just brings up, the whole loot box thing, obviously with FIFA or whatever. This just brings up that whole thing. And watching Jim, from the Jimquisition brought up a really good point that it's like in FIFA, a game that's rated E for everyone, if you have to have a warning for your children, then isn't it not in fact not suitable for children?
Right. The thing with that is it wouldn't be classified as T, because T typically tends to have violence, incorporated with a T rating.
True.
So it's one of those that the ESR, that might be an issue with the ESRB where they'll have
exactly
different rating tier for E, including microtransactions. You know what I'm saying? This is definitely a problem. So you said there was a bunch of different testimonials, so I don't know if it was just from him, but it sounds like it's not quite clear whether from what you just said, it sounds to me like the system that's in FIFA. So I'll have to get more information on this because I'm not a FIFA player, but I'm not
definitely
a sports player. But it sounds like if they're spending in-game money, it seems like there's a system in there that when you click spend, it's already going to take money out of whatever account you have tied in. Whereas you have something like Apex or Fortnite, when you buy something, you have to buy a credit with real money and then you use that for it. So
I don't think it's as mischievous as that. It's just the fact that obviously he is little autistic and maybe learning disabled, and so in general it made it confusing. And then the other testimonials, like there was one about like a phone game where it was like finding hidden objects in a scene, and so doing that and then not even knowing that you're spending real world money. I think there's still obviously the confirmation. Obviously you have to confirm like 2 or 3 times to spend real world money. But at the same time, if you don't realize that that's what you're actually doing, it's still a problem, and I do feel like the E for everyone, like E should be for everyone. It should be safe. And, and when a parent's like literally sitting right next to their kid as they're doing this and they don't even know that they're doing it, E for everyone, no, it's not for everyone, because like if anything, like a really good example is obviously I have a daughter and I have games on my phone, and the free version of this game, there'll be ads on the phone. And it's so annoying because like they come up and it seems so predatory. because it's like sometimes it'll come up in the middle of her game. So it's not even like at the end of it, like watch this trailer for an extra life. There's plenty of those that do that. No, it'll be like right in the middle of what she's trying to do. There'll be an ad, and it just seems so predatory because even if I'm sitting right next to her, which most of the time I am, even if I'm sitting right next to her, she could end up clicking on something and she's in a completely different window trying to confirm something. And she's like, Dad, it's not working. And I'm like, oh, sweetie, you got to be careful or whatever. And it's just like, it's so predatory. People know it's Hello Kitty. People know that they are children. And even the way it's made in such a simplistic way that it is supposed to be for kids. So they know that kids are playing these type of games, but they put these predatory advertisements in there so that they hope somebody clicks on it. And just the click alone gets them money. And then they're hoping if they're able to click more and more, they'll get even more money from them.
Right.
So it's just a problem. So
yeah. All right, Mark. We're a minute. So I'm going to skip the Gears and just go to the Uplay thing, and then we'll cover the other one in the full.
Well, let's do the smoking out in Gears, and then the Uplay or whatever that we can cover in the topic of the show.
All right. Mark it again. All right. The last story we have for our gaming headlines is smoking is out in Gears 5, apparently. So it looks like the Coalition commits to exclude depictions of smoking from Gears 5. This article comes from Game Informer. We're going to cover it briefly. But basically, there's been, thanks to Truth, which, again, I am fully okay with their message. You know, they're trying to get smoking out of kids. I feel like, because if pre-show guys, you know I vape. So there's some of their ads, I feel like are just misinformation, totally and completely. And it's one of those things. But they're making an effort to exclude, which is interesting because Gears has been synonymous with cigar smoking brutes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it seems like they're trying to change, which is, you know, that's their prerogative. That's fine. They're changing kind of the image of Gears in its entirety to kind of give it a more modern fear. But basically, they're saying that all depictions of character smoking have been removed from the Gears series. Developer The Coalition has decided to not portray character smoking in any future Gears games, a policy that started with Gears 4. And they kind of give a quote on it. They're like, I've seen firsthand the devastating impact of smoking. It's always been important to me not to use smoking as a narrative device, which is why we made the conscious choice to avoid highlighting or glorifying smoking in Gears 5 and going throughout, Rod Ferguson said from the Coalition. So interesting. It's an interesting talking point. There's nothing really wrong with it. It's to me good to see developers like having these thoughts, having these opinions, and being like, hey, this is the stance we're going to take, and this is what we're going to take. And I don't feel like there's a lot of people that are going to be upset by this unless you're a diehard Gears fan. But even then,
yeah,
I don't really know.
I think the only thing that's weird is that this is also coming on the tail of like Stranger Things is getting crap about how, you know, Hopper is smoking a lot in the season 3 or whatever. And apparently people brought it up in season 2 and apparently there's just a lot of people who like bring it up. And it's like, you know, not only is this like a different time, the 80s, where like people just smoked, like there wasn't as much information. Like people knew it was bad for you back then, but not as much as today. And so not only that, but it's like, so the only part I don't like is just like, well, now you have to consider making your character not a smoker, but real people are smokers, and people back in the 80s smoked, people back in the 50s smoked. So if you make a period piece, you're suddenly supposed to take out smoking just because of today's standards.
Well, see, Netflix's response to that was perfect. I thought that was like somebody give their PR person a raise, because that was very well put. They basically said in there that from going forward in basically our modern stuff, we're not going to glorify, but if we're still going to use it if it's needed for historical accuracy or the depiction of whichever creator's story.
Right.
So, which was a great response, because
right, it's a good response. I just don't like. I don't personally. And I mean, you being somebody who, vapes or whatever is interesting as well, because it's like, I just don't personally see the big deal. You know, it's like smoking is bad. There are so many things out there that tell you smoking is bad. Just because somebody does it on screen doesn't change my mind about whether or not I'm going to smoke. So, I mean, I don't personally get it.
The main thing nowadays is the targeting of children. You know, that's why people
right, but it's an mature game. They're not supposed to play it anyways. So
right,
that's where I draw the line. If they wanted to have an E for everybody, where they don't chainsaw somebody in half and have blood gushing everywhere, and they wanted to not have smoking in that makes sense. But this is a mature rated game. Mature people only you have to be 18 most places to buy cigarettes. So why is it a big deal? I don't personally see the big deal.
Right. I can agree. I would have a problem if they tried to do that to Sergeant Johnson, my boy Sergeant Johnson. Right. Take that cigar out of his mouth. We're going to have a problem. Right. An absolute problem. But it's interesting. It's kind of neat to see these developers taking these kind of stances because it's something that they care about. Like he says right there, he's personally seen the impact of smoking. They have a creative vision. They want to portray it. And we've said that before in terms of representation. Hey, tell the story you want to tell. Don't just do it because someone's making you do it.
Right. And I think that's the big difference between Gears and Netflix, whereas they want them to take it out, but it's like, yeah. So either way, smokers or non-smokers who are listening, we would like to see your opinion on it. So let us know what you think about it. You can go to @TX3 Productions on Twitter. You can also go to our Discord, which is in the description or pinned to the top of our Twitter. So we're going to take a quick break here, going into a music break, and we'll be right back with your week in nerd culture. Okay, I'll do my timer this time. I'll be a good boy.
That was a few minutes shy of that time, but I didn't want to cut the conversation short.
Yeah. All righty. So as far as, I guess we have about the same amount of stuff here, so never mind. I was going to say, do we have about the same amount of stories?
We have less, but I feel like we could talk more about these.
Definitely. All right, let's get back into it. Hold on. Unlock your fucking phone.
You fucking fuck.
Yeah. All right, you ready? And go. And welcome back to your weekly nerdy news, part of your National Nerd Net Radio Direct Nerd Radio. So let's get started with this week in nerd culture. So, the multiverse does exist, and we should have already known that. So, obviously, from Far From Home, spoilers are ahead just for a little bit. We find out that the multiverse that the Mysterio was talking about might not exist. But Kevin Feige came out recently and basically said, well, yes, it does. And in fact, back in Doctor Strange, the chosen one, the ancient one draws her power from different dimensions. So we've kind of already known about dimensions, and we should have known about it since Doctor Strange.
Yeah, at the same time, though, like when you said that, I remembered it, but for most people, they need stuff spelled out for them. Yeah. So I can see why people wouldn't have known that because they didn't. Because like just to give you a frame of reference, in the DC TV shows like Arrow, Flash, the Arrowverse, they specifically say multiverse. Like there is a multiverse, so they clear out spell like, hey, this is the reason why we can have this actor be this and a different actor be that. Right. You know, so they outright say it. Whereas in Doctor Strange, they didn't. They just kind of hinted at it. Whereas, and you say spoilers, it is, but at the same time, Marvel spoiled it for themselves by releasing that scene of them talking.
Right.
So and I haven't seen Far From Home yet. So like that's why I'm talking about what I specifically saw on a TV ad where they were talking like down in that underground like area, and they were talking about specifically a multiverse. And so it's like we talked about earlier before we started recording. That would have been cool if you would have like shown that in the movie instead of showing that on TV, like as an ad release, like on Jimmy Kimmel or something like that. Yeah. But you know, it's one of those that cool, like this was coming. I mean, after Endgame, this is one of those that like they need. And and we can get into it some other time because it's a very long conversation, but I've seen a lot of theories that have to do with time travel and have to do with Endgame.
Right.
So we knew this was coming. There needed to be some kind of example of saying something like this exists, because that sets the template for phase 4. Phase 4 just got busted wide open in terms of what it could be for the MCU.
Yeah. What now? What's going to happen now? Exactly.
Because that's such a big event. You can't just be like, oh, yep, it happened. We changed time, but we changed it back. But it's no problem. Like, they needed to have ramifications, which from what I've heard and seen about Far From Home, they cover that a good bit, which I'm happy with.
Yes, definitely.
So, interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on a more darker note, kind of, Netflix has decided to edit out the suicide scene in 13 Reasons Why. So I'm actually glad you put this on here, because this is an interesting conversation, and I'm curious where we're both going to be on this. So if you don't know, in the show 13 Reasons Why in season 1's all about this girl who committed suicide. And, the tapes listening to why she did it. And there's a scene, I don't remember how far it is in the season, but there's a scene where it depicts her like looking in the mirror and she's about to commit suicide. And it shows her, slitting her wrists, and it shows her committing suicide, and then her parents finding her body. They basically came out with a statement, and I really should have probably had that pulled up, but Netflix came out with a statement saying, with the new season coming out, they decided to, I don't know if they're going to edit out that scene completely or just edit it to where it's not nearly as graphic.
They basically said that they edited it so that when she's looking in the mirror, the next part is them finding her body.
Okay.
So they actually completely take out the graphic portion of it.
Okay. So I've heard both sides of this situation. Mm-hmm. I can agree with both sides.
For sure, yeah.
On the one side being people who are not for them editing it out. Their argument being, people had a complaint with 13 Reasons Why saying that they were romanticizing suicide. And people's argument with that scene being in there is like, no, they're not. That's clearly a graphic and like gut-wrenching scene that's showing that suicide is not a romantic thing. It's a serious thing. And it's not pretty. And it's not pretty. So in some ways, it should be in there. On the other side, I have also heard people saying like, should we really be exposing these kind of images to teens, to people who are very vulnerable in terms of a mental state, which is topics that they cover in the show. Right. So it's one of those, I can agree with both sides. I'm, of course, your typical Nate. I'm the centrist on this. I don't know where I lie on this.
Yeah.
I'm not ever for censorship for any reason. But like, I can't say that that Netflix is at fault for editing that out. You know what I'm saying? It's very hard. It's very hard to figure out where to be on this.
Yeah. In the situation, I can understand why they did it. But on the side of, I'm on the side of the creator, as far as I feel like they should have been able to do it in the first place, and whether or not it was right for that scene to be in there. That's sort of the point of the scene being in there, because it started a conversation. It started a conversation if depictions like that should be in a movie or in, because obviously this isn't the first show to depict a suicide, and people want to act because it's 2018, 2019. They want to act as if this is the first time we've ever seen something like that. No, this is just the first time you've seen it through the lens of 2018 and 19, and that's one thing that I just feel is just, I don't know. It's to the point where it's they did it because people were bashing on it. They didn't do it because they felt, or maybe they agree with it. I don't know. I'm not the creators. Maybe they agreed with it, but they still wanted to keep it in because, one thing is that scene did spark conversations of people who were going through depression,
Yeah.
And, for other people, maybe it triggered them or something. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that I feel like I never really understood the glamorizing suicide. The whole argument that entire series was glamorizing suicide kind of feels like, did you even watch the show? Because it's a depressing ass show.
Yeah.
It's a drama. there is a lot. It's a lot of heavy stuff, you know, and for them to say, oh, but it's about a girl who, you know, kills herself and then leaves tapes. And so then she gets everything she wanted. No, she doesn't. She's freaking dead. She doesn't get shit.
Yeah.
She's dead. She doesn't get to enjoy anything anymore. She doesn't get anything out of it except for not existing anymore. So for me, the quote unquote argument that they are glamorizing suicide, no, they're not. And it's just like in season 2, they weren't glamorizing being raped by a broom handle. They weren't glamorizing school shootings. They were showing how stuff like this can happen and how wrong it is.
Yeah.
They weren't glamorizing anything. And so me personally, I'm on the side of like, I've never understood that argument. You know, now if they wanted to take it out, I also respect them for taking it out, because I do see that there is an argument out there that says that, you know, maybe it shouldn't be in there. I can sort of understand that. But as far as the glamorization, quote unquote, I don't see that. I don't see that. Whether or not the scene should be in there is an argument that is valid, in my opinion. But the glamorization, I don't feel that that's a valid argument, because I don't personally feel that that show is glamorizing anything. If anything, they're not making it a good experience. They're making it an uncomfortable experience because they're showing how uncomfortable the topic is.
Yeah, and I do respect Netflix on how they handled it. This wasn't just a, oh, yoink, everybody's mad about it, we're going to get rid of it. This statement, I pulled it up. The statement that they said about this was, as we prepare to launch season 3 later this summer, we've been mindful about the ongoing debate around the show. So on the advice of medical experts, including Dr. Christine Moutier, that's not how you pronounce her last name, but I'm sorry, Chief Medical Officer at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, we've decided with creator Brian Yorkie and the producers to edit the scene in which Hannah takes her own life from season 1. So it's one of those that they went through the process of going through the studies that since the scene came out, they looked at studies, they looked at this with medical experts as well as the creators and producers for the show, and made a joint decision to say, let's edit that. Right. So instead of just doing a like they did with House of Cards with the whole Kevin Spacey controversy, and they handled that differently. So I can respect them for that. So
yeah, for sure,
it's very interesting, to say the least.
Yeah. So the Russo brothers, they're starting to tease what they're going to be doing at their Comic-Con panel. So this was interesting because basically I feel like this is a sense of like the internet like taking something and running with it, because it's like one was like a clip from like Community, and it's something that they worked on in the past, and another one was from Arrested Development, and that's something they also worked on in the past. And so now people are like, oh, there's going to be a Community movie. Oh, there's going to be the announcement for the Arrested Development season 6 or whatever, and by all means, like they could just be being really like cryptic. Like maybe there's certain things that are said in those clips that it's like, if you put them all together, it makes sense, because just because they worked on those things doesn't mean that, oh, here comes the next season. I thought it was interesting because it's like people took one thing and they started to run with it, and then I feel like maybe as a tease or maybe as a troll, like the Russo brothers could have put out those other clips just as a way to keep stoking the fire basically and make people more excited, but still choosing the clips wisely so that it's like, well, we put that out because it's like somebody's talking about this, and so that has to deal with the next project. I don't know, it just seemed like a funny little story.
Yeah, it's the Russo brothers. I mean, they're on a all-time high right now by hopefully at the time you're hearing this, we have beat Avatar as one of the top as the top earning movie of all time. Look, I can applaud them. I can applaud them for being like upfront, being like, look, we're trying to beat Avatar. So I mean, yeah, Community I've watched a little bit of in the past, but like I've never been a big Community guy. It's one of those that every clip I see, it's like, I should love this. I should absolutely love this.
Right.
But I just never, like, it was one of those like How I Met Your Mother. I didn't start watching until years after the show ended. So there's some shows that I just miss. So yeah, Comic-Con this year I think is going to be really interesting because there's a lot of stuff that's coming up that people want to see, and a lot of stuff like this that people have no idea what's going to happen.
Right. Well, I mean, in general, like there's also been like a lot of interviews where the Russo brothers have explained like what happened when Captain America went back in time, and was it a branch universe or was it this or whatever. So there's like a lot of like little questions that all the little nerds have or whatever, and like they've already had interviews or whatever. So trying to figure out what's going to happen at the Comic-Con, because like if they've already answered the branch question, they've already answered like the whole time travel in general or whatever, like Loki, and they've already answered that stuff in an interview here and there. It does make you wonder, like, what do they have for this panel?
The biggest one for me, which I was surprised that they answered, was the Captain America, the old Captain America at the end of Endgame. The fact that they answered that theory and confirmed that theory is awesome, because that theory was incredible. And the fact that they was like, oh, that's true. I'm like, that's awesome. That's so cool. That's such like a deep cut thing. But speaking about where Captain America has been after Endgame, our next story is a trailer for the Red Sea Diving Resort, a new Netflix movie.
And it did happen in 1971. So this could totally be what Captain America was up to.
He probably sent Tony off with the Pym particles like, hey, give me a second. I'll be right back. This looks awesome.
Yeah.
This looks incredible. This cast is incredible, first off.
Yeah. This looks like another Argo.
It does. It does. So real quick, have you seen The Invitation on Netflix?
The Invitation.
It's got the wannabe Tom Hardy in it. Logan Marshall Green.
No, I don't.
It's a weird movie. It's a strange movie, but it's got I think it's Mikhail Huisman. He's from Game of Thrones. He played Dario Najaris. But he's in this as well, and he was in The Invitation, and he's kind of like Pedro Pascal, where there are people I've seen from Game of Thrones and I'm seeing other stuff for, and I'm like, oh, these guys are talented. But it's got a star-studded cast, and it kind of a kind of just brief synopsis is the incredible story of a group of international agents and brave Ethiopians who in the early 80s used a deserted holiday retreat in Sudan as a front for smuggling thousands of refugees into Israel. So yeah, like you said, it's very much Argo-esque.
Yes.
But it's also
just the fact that Netflix got Chris mother effing Evans right after Endgame too. Because obviously, like, as far as like schedules go, when they had to have shot this, because
it's coming out with Endgame for 2 years though.
Well, true. But that's what I'm saying. For scheduling purposes, like they were able to schedule this perfectly, because it's like it's coming out at the end of this month, July 31st. And
oh wow.
Endgame was only a couple months ago, but obviously as far as scheduling, he's been done filming it 2 years ago. So they were able to snag him before the success. Cause I'm thinking after this, his bill would have went up even higher after Endgame. And the fact that he is like, quote unquote, officially done, like his bill has to be through the roof now. But if they were able to snag him before Endgame premiering, they were probably able to get a better deal.
Yeah, see, I saw the trailer for Knives Out, which is a new Chris Evans movie as well.
Yeah.
I didn't see this one, so this one was really cool to see. Knives Out seems like a very much like before Avengers Chris Evans performance.
Yes.
Like it's very much like, I think Philip DeFranco, the man, the myth, the legend, he his commentary on it was, I think, the best, where he was like, is anyone else surprised that they got Chris Evans from not another teen movie to be in this movie?
Right.
But yeah, his performance, it seems very like that. Whereas the Red Sea Diving Resort seems like Avenger / Snowpiercer Chris Evans.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, very much. I mean, it just seems like an interesting movie. And it'll be nice to see, because like I like Triple Frontier. Triple Frontier was a good effing movie. That was a good movie, and that had Ben Affleck, Oscar Isaac, the Latin dude you were talking about,
Pedro Pascal.
There you go. It had like a really good cast, and I really personally liked it. And it's like that. This one kind of seems like a follow up to that one, in my opinion, at least. So very interested to see that one. So speaking of MCU, I guess, Taika Waititi is going to be back for Thor 4.
To write and direct. This is awesome because Ragnarok, easily one of the best Thor movies. Like I think by popular opinion, easily one of the best Thor movies. And Taika is incredible. Like his mind, his creative genius is like, so just to see them working together again. And honestly, that's the most fun Thor we saw because Chris Hemsworth had a blast shooting Ragnarok. Right. So seeing them collaborate again for this, oh man, like I saw this article. I see a lot of articles on my Facebook. I saw this one and I genuinely was like, yes, awesome. Like I was like super stoked to see this.
It does kind of make you wonder, what about the Asgardians of the Galaxy?
So I think they'll have a part in it. I think that Marvel's in phase 4, I think they're really going to focus on the cosmic realm. Like, I really think so because they're already working on the Eternals, which is a giant cosmic storyline. They got to incorporate Adam Warlock somewhere, Guardians 3. So I think that's where their focus is going to be for this phase, which I'm cool with because I feel like we didn't get enough cosmic stuff in the earlier phases of the MCU. So to see them depart to do something completely just strange and magnificent, like just completely out there, is a cool change of pace because we've got pretty much a lot of grounded from the past 10 years.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's really cool to see. I can't wait. I don't think we know when this is coming out. He's just pinned to write it, but probably they'll give something about it at Comic-Con. They'll probably do what they love to do, those charts with release schedules that they'll push back at a later date. And the last, speaking of San Diego Comic-Con, God, we're segueing. This is a complete segue section.
Segue gods.
Sony is bringing loot boxes to San Diego Comic-Con.
So, are they randomized?
They're probably RNGs. They're RNGs for sure. I think this is just a cute little thing. It's one of those that it's such a hot topic, but for Sony to be like, hey, we're bringing mystery boxes to Comic-Con. It's like, okay,
we're bringing surprise mechanics.
We're bringing oh my god! If they put on the banner surprise mechanic boxes, that they would win the internet. Oh my god! Internet, yes. If I worked at PlayStation, I probably would get fired, but I would do that just cause. So yeah, they're going to be these boxes. They're mystery boxes. They're going to be $60 a pop, and it's going to hold 5 limited edition PlayStation items. Could they be T-shirts, keychains, or plush toys? We have no idea. It says in the article from Game Informer.
Well, hopefully, no matter what, no matter what they do have, it is worth it. So even if it is a shirt and a couple other things, it's worth the $60. That's my only thing.
Yeah, it's like Loot Crate. They're going to be worth the value. They're valued at $90.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, they're valued at $90, but you're only paying $60. So it's like Loot Crate where you're getting this value of stuff for this price.
Which is, obviously a good thing. And in general, most of the time, Sony is usually does really cool things. Like I want to say, was it the PlayStation Experience? They had trading cards.
Yep. PSX.
And the trading cards, you had to go to each thing basically to get all 52 cards, and each one had a different character. Instead of like a queen, they had like Alloy or something like that.
Yeah. So, and it sparked community because people were trading them, and it made that event more community focused.
Definitely. And any excuse to just have some real cool swag or whatever, sure, why the hell not?
Now, if you guys are going to Comic-Con and you're listening to this, first off, please tell us how that was. We would love to hear from you. But to give you a heads up, these are limited to 500 units of each box.
Yeah.
So there's 5 boxes, so 5,000 boxes.
Yeah. All right, so now let's take another quick music break, and we'll come back for the topic of the show. Topic of the show. Bum, bum, bum. Topic of the show. It's a show where we have a topic.
Elmo's got a gun. Big birds on the run. Ernie's Ernie's dialing 911. That was like early days of YouTube.
All right, ready?
Yep.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to your weekly nerdy news. We're going to finish up with the topic of the show. All right, so the topic of the show today is going to be kind of Ubisoft centric because we have a lot of interesting information coming out from Ubisoft. So let's get started with, we have the full list of games that you will have for Uplay.
The Uplay Plus service, that's going to be their, like you get this service, you pay for this service monthly, you have access to these games. So like Game Pass.
Pretty much.
This is their Game Pass. And it looks compelling, honestly. I'm not going to lie. I'm looking at the full list here, and it basically I'll read most of them, but it looks like every Ubisoft game they've made within the past, like within, modern times. So just
all 20 Assassin's Creeds.
Yeah, there's all the Assassin's Creeds on there. And what's interesting is some of them, like Odyssey, Black Flag, Origins, and some of the other ones like Syndicate, they're the gold editions. So they're the higher tier editions, which is cool because that means you're going to get access to the respective like season passes with DLCs included in there.
Dude,
so that's great.
Fear. Have you ever played Cold Fear? It's an old PlayStation 2 game.
I have not.
Cold Fear is probably one of my favorite, aside from like Resident Evil or whatever. Cold Fear is one of my favorite survival horrors of all time. It basically took like the claustrophobic, nature of a mansion, but now you're on like a ship, and it genuinely scared me a lot. You know what I mean? And it also was like Dead Space before Dead Space came out.
Mm-hmm.
Because like there were like, like tentacle kind of monster, or not, tentacle kind of things that would get into your head. And so like, you had to like shoot them in the head and they might come out. I don't know. Cold Fear is probably one of my top games of all time. Like I love that game.
Okay, I'll definitely have to check it out if I pick up the Uplay Plus on there. But they also have hits like Beyond Good and Evil, Child of Light.
Whenever the second one freaking comes out, like Jesus, just put out Beyond Good and Evil. I like we saw Jordan Gordon-Levitt, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. We saw him on stage talking about crap, like 2 E3s ago, and it's just like it's ridiculous. Come on, just get on with it. And I think the problem is that like people are expecting an announcement. We did get an announcement, but they pretty much announced that they're starting to make the game.
Exactly.
Like, are you effing kidding me? Like you're just starting to like, I don't know. It's just it's so frustrating.
They're also going to include Far Cry 2, Far Cry 3, Blood Dragon, Far Cry 3, Far Cry 4.
Did you ever play Might and Magic?
No, I was about to.
Might and Magic series.
You're getting ahead of me, boy.
Shut up. Might and Magic is actually a really good series as far as like strategy goes, and I remember it being like one of the really cool like turn-based kind of strategies or whatever. I remember playing like a Might and Magic, like I think the last one I would have played was like 5 or something like that. But I really like the Might and Magic series.
Well, that's what's cool with the Far Cry ones, as well as really honestly any other of these except for maybe a few. They're all the special editions, the deluxe or the gold editions. Like for the Far Cries, you're getting all those editions, and for Might and Magic, you're getting what looks like all of them that have been released with all, like I think Might and Magic Heroes 5 is a standard edition, but everything else is a gold or a complete. They also have the Prince of Persia games on there. Prince of Persia 2008.
All of them.
At the time. Nice. Yep. They have all the Raymans, which is awesome. Rayman's a deep cut for me because that was a PS1 game I loved. They got Rayman 2, 3, Rayman Forever, Rayman Legends, Rayman Origins, Rayman Raving Rabbids, which before the Rabbids were a giant thing, Raving Rabbids, the first one, was awesome. That game was awesome. That game was really, really fun.
Because that was before they became a mini game, right?
No, that Raving Rabbids was a main game. Like you had a main, like you were trying to get out of this, but you were playing mini games.
Oh, okay.
Like it was the start of that, and then when they continued on, it was just a mini game.
Oh, okay. All right.
So there was an actual like gameplay element you were for the main story, but you were also playing. But I also played on the Wii, so there was a lot of gimmicks there too. So I don't know if that was just Wii in particular. But if you're a Silent Hunter fan, you've also got the Silent Hunter games on here. Starlink, which is cool.
Would you say it's silent but deadly?
Oh my god, like a fart, like a fart. You've got Steep, Starlink, the Crew, and the Crew 2, both the Ultimate and Gold editions, the Settlers, which I don't know anything about. But the big one here, the entire Tom Clancy catalog, except for a couple games. So you've got In War, you've got Ghost Recon, Future Soldier, which is, again, really awesome, fun game. Love that game at the time. You got Wildlands Ultimate Edition,
Breakpoint when it comes out,
which is cool because I've been wanting to get the DLCs for Wildlands, but like the season pass never goes on sale. So that's
see now what is Uplay going to be? Is that going to be on the consoles as well?
So no, Uplay Plus, Uplay is a service, is their PC store. Uplay Plus is going to be for PC and Stadia. So
looks like I have to get Stadia so I can play me some Cold Fear.
So it's $14.99 a month, which is a little bit more, to give you a frame of reference. EA Access, well, sorry, for PC, because EA Access is on Xbox. For PC, Origin Access, you pay $5 a month and you get like early access to games, and you can get their like games that are free when they're available. Yeah. If you pay the $15 like this is, then you can like just play the new games and you don't have to buy them. So they're similar priced. But for $14.99, you're getting all these games, and like the ones that I'm super stoked. Well, first off, you're a Rainbow fan. You have Rainbow Six, Rainbow Six 3, Rainbow Six Lockdown, and you have Siege, the 4-year edition. So you have all of the DLC for Siege so far, as well as Vegas 2, which are incredible. And then the biggest one for me, this one I am so hyped about because I've been dying to go back and replay the Splinter Cell games, but I do not want to play. I do not want to pay like however much they are a pop on Steam. So in the Uplay Plus, you're getting Splinter Cell, the first one. You're getting Blacklist. You're getting Chaos Theory, Conviction, and Double Agent. The only ones that are missing on here are Pandora Tomorrow. And I think that's it. I think Pandora Tomorrow is the only one that's missing, because Blacklist was the one that came out in 2013. Conviction was the reboot, soft reboot. And then Double Agent was the one that came out before Conviction. But Chaos Theory is my all-time favorite Splinter Cell game. I've been dying to play that game again, but I never catch it on sale. Yeah. So if I pay $14.99 a month, I can play that as well as any other Ubisoft game that's been released. And going down further on the list, you've got the Trials games, and then you have Watch Dogs 1, 2, and Legion when it comes out. So you're going to have access to
Legion.
So yeah, we'll segue that in a second. You're getting ahead of me, man. You also get Division and Division 2, both gold and ultimate editions.
Yeah.
Sure. And so basically it looks to be the same thing. When a game comes out, like Game Pass, if it's a Uplay game, if it's a Ubisoft game, you'll have it on Uplay Plus. Yeah. So the only thing, like, this is great, and for the price, that's good. I want to get Stadia. I'm planning on picking up Stadia when I have $130. I plan on buying the Founders Edition, because for that, for $120 for a new console, basically, that's kind of a no-brainer, and it seems like a really good investment. The only thing that I'm potentially going to get worried about is like, you can have an argument for it being more added value, but you're going to pay, if you want the top tier experience for Stadia, you're going to pay $9.99 a month. And that's going to get you 4K access, 60 frames, and it's going to give you the best experience you can possibly get. So you'll pay $9.99 a month for that. You'll also, if you want to play the Ubisoft games, you can do this or just buy the games piece by piece. But I think honestly, with the value that's in here, I feel like this might be a better deal. You're also paying $14.99 a month for this service. That's just to play these games. Yeah. So it's like, I can see a snowball effect of like this service future, which everyone's excited about. I don't know if they're ready for it, because it's like, it might be, you're basically paying a giant cable bill.
Yeah, true. So now that you talked about Stadia, you're going to get me going on that. I still find it confusing that everybody is so stuck on the resolution. I've talked about this before here on Nerd Radio, but I feel like the main thing that people keep forgetting is that they're treating this like a console. They're treating it like this is going to be console quality graphics, and then you have to pay for 4K. But what people still don't seem to put 2 and 2 together, because they talked about it in the first reveal of it, but basically, like, this isn't a console, this is a PC game, or this is pretty much like having a PC rig.
This is like Oculus Quest.
This is like having a supercomputer, because you're having like multiple PCs, so like 720p. Okay, yeah. Would it suck to have the free version and only go up to, let's say, 1080p?
It is 1080.
Would it suck to have that? I guess, but you're having 1080p at a PC quality of graphics.
That's streaming over the internet.
Yeah, and it's like I feel like people are getting too hung up on the resolution. They're getting way too hung up on the resolution, but the resolution doesn't have anything to necessarily do with the innards, because a PC version of Division at 1080p looks way better than a PlayStation 4 Pro, for instance.
Yeah, now
1080p.
Yeah, there are like resolution is an important topic to talk about with Stadia.
Sure.
Because in terms of power, like if you're telling me that over a Wi-Fi connection over the internet, I'm able to get 4K resolution at 60 frames from a streaming service, that's incredible. But I see where the argument where you're coming in. The main thing that I've heard about Stadia, speaking of Stadia, we're supposed to be talking about Ubisoft, but Stadia's the whole thing. The main thing that I've heard about people's like firsthand experiences at E3 is it's one of those that it's not like top tier. Like if you were playing on a PC rig, like when you're playing on a rig, like playing Battlefield, it's like a life-changing experience.
Yeah.
Stadia is not there, but it's good enough. And that's what I think it needs to be.
It can always be updated. That's the thing.
Exactly.
It can always be updated. And they might be running it at a slower, or a, maybe not an ultra rig, but a max rig or something. But either way, you're still getting PC quality stuff. And that's the thing I want to emphasize, is that it's PC features, not console features. People are thinking, oh, I'm just going to get a PlayStation 4 version of Breakpoint when it comes. No, you're not getting a PlayStation 4 version. Just because it's 1080p, doesn't mean you're getting the PlayStation 4 version. You're getting a PC quality version. Whether it's an ultra mega EX edition, with the most up-to-date PC, no, but you're still getting a PC version of it, in my opinion, at least. So I feel like people just get so hung up on the resolution that they forget to think about the fact that no, it's PC. Just because you're playing it with a controller doesn't necessarily mean it's a console. It's still going to be it's going to look better than a PlayStation Pro. It's going to look better than an Elite in most cases.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is that it's completely game changing, which is a pun I didn't intend, but it is game changing. And to kind of segue into what kind of the main thing we'll talk about here with Stadia, Watch Dogs Legion that's coming out. I thought about picking it up on PS4, but the way this game is being marketed, kind of like I feel like it's one for one. This might be a game I pick up on Stadia. Because if you're telling me that I can play this game, like if I can play it on my iPad while I'm at work on my lunch break, pop out the controller and just play some, and then get home and then play it on the Chromecast or whatever, and keep playing it, that might be a game that I'm going to do that with. And there's, like I said, segueing, there's a lot of stuff going on with Legion right now, which kind of leads into the biggest thing that we'll talk about here. So Ubisoft decided to team up again with Joseph Gordon-Levitt's company Hit Record, which is basically the best way to describe it would be a community crowdsourcing kind of platform. So it's full of creators. They're people putting it's kind of like Dreams in a way with some of their projects. Dreams' whole thing is like, hey, I'm going to design this tree. You can use it, where you have a lot of like musical, you have a lot of musicians on Hit Record who are like, hey, I made this beat. Does someone want to put a like vocal track on there? And it's a collaboration company basically. Yeah. And so they teamed up with them last year for Beyond Good and Evil 2, and they're doing it again. This time it's a little bit more focused. So this article comes from Game Informer. I'm going to read through. I'm not going to read through this, but it's kind of a broad topic, so I want to make sure I speak about it right. So I'm going to read a little bit from here. They're partnering with Hit Record. Their creative collaboration platform. That's a good way to put it, Game Informer. Thanks. I should have read that. To invite fans to create their own custom music for Watch Dogs Legion. Hit Record lets users upload user-created content like short films and music, and then other community members can remix it or collaborate with the original artist to make something new. Ubisoft is looking for songs that fit into genres like rock, hip-hop, electronica, pop, metal, and punk. 10 original songs will be chosen, and $2,000 will be paid out to all involved contributors. If you're interested in competing, they have the link there. So basically what they're doing, what they're looking for is for the radio stations. Yeah, they're looking for there. It's not music to put like in game, like for like an orchestral score. It's songs to play on the radio stations. So like in Watch Dogs 2 and Watch Dogs 1, just like GTA, you can swap through radio stations. Watch Dogs 2 is a little bit better because you were able to pick playlists and like kind of pick whatever music fit your mood. So that's what they're looking for here. They're looking to collaborate with creators for them to come up with something. So this has sparked a lot of controversy. So one of them came from a game developer named Mike Bithell, who's doing he's done a lot of different games. So one of the ones he's doing is the John Wick Hex, that new like asymmetric game they showed off at E3. He tweets out, "This sucks. People pay for their labor. Stop exploiting fans and hobbyists while devaluing the work of those with the gall to actually expect consistent payment for work done. Do better, Ubi. We're counting on you."
Yeah.
And they keep bringing up spec work, which is a whole thing that has to do with labor. But the thing here is the side that I'm on this. I think some people are thinking that, hey, by doing this, you're taking work from other creators, from my actual like people who are in the industry. Well, here's the thing. People who are professionals in the industry, they're not going to submit for this. This is just like an entertainment competition like you've had in the past. Like the Doritos is a good example.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, we're looking for like create the best short for a commercial, and you'll get paid or whatever. That's the way I see this. Now, the $2,000, some people have an issue with, in terms of money. So the way that would work. So let's say, like the example I gave, someone makes a beat, then someone makes a vocal track, then someone puts like another thing on there. That's 3 contributors. So that $2,000 will be split between the 3 contributors.
Interesting.
So that's the way that will work. So if you compose the entire track yourself, then if it's picked, you'll get the $2,000. But I'm curious your take on this, because like I said, I feel like this is totally fine. I feel like this is kind of a cool thing because it's a partnership to get the community involved.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, hey, we'll make this game for you, saying, hey, help us with making this game. Not so much like they're doing with Beyond Good and Evil 2, where they're literally saying, hey, help us make this game. They're saying, hey, contribute to a game that you love.
Yeah. And
so what's your take on it?
That's my problem with it, was the whole Beyond Good and Evil 2 thing. When they came out last year, and it's like, Jordan Gordon-Levitt came and he's like, hey, help make tracks in the game and help do this. And that just seemed like such a cop-out. It's like, not only did you wait years, so many gosh darn years, until you started the game. You're not even done with it. You're not even halfway done with it. Just start the game. And then the very next year, announced that, oh yeah, we're going to take all your stuff and make it our own. Now, hopefully those people will be compensated in some way. But then I think the argument that one guy brought up is the fact that, are they going to be compensated the same that a real creator? I mean, I hate to say it, real creator.
You could say up and comer and a professional.
Established.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good one.
Established creator. Somebody who's been in the industry, somebody who's fighting tooth and nail in the industry. Are they going to get the same rate as them? Or are they going to basically be like, they go down to the Home Depot and grab a couple of, people standing on the corner? I'm not going to say their ethnicity, but, is it going to be like that, where the equivalent of that, but now it's like they're doing it online? Obviously, it's an interesting way. It's an interesting way of doing it. Now, I think the crux of this is that it's only going to be like 10 tracks.
Right. 10 tracks are going to be picked.
Right. So 10 tracks in a world like GTA, 10 is like maybe 10%. So there's still going to be 90%, or even like, depending on how many songs they do have in it, maybe it's only like 5%. So 90 to 95% of the songs that are going to be in the game are still made the, I don't know, quote unquote, correct way. So like you were saying, in this particular sense, it seems more like a giveaway. Like, like there's been like giveaways where it's like, if you win the giveaway, you get put into like Borderlands 3 as a character or something like that. You know what I mean? And so that kind of seems like this is the way they're going with that. But I feel like people are still sour about the Gordon-Levitt Beyond Good and Evil 2 thing, where it's pretty much just like, help us make the entire game, versus this is just help us make 10 songs. Make 10 songs. And if you win, you get into the game as a thank you or something like that.
So the actual biggest thing here, when I said spec work earlier, they kind of break it down to what they're worried about. They sorry. What it says on the article, there's some backlash about the project from game developers who call this type of collaboration speculative work. The term is used when someone works for free in hopes of getting paid for it, but without any guarantee. Some find this potentially exploitive, since Ubisoft and Hit Record are only paying winning contributors.
That's a good point. That is a good point.
But again, like, to give you a reference for Watch Dogs 2, there's one specific playlist. It was like the hacker playlist in Watch Dogs 2 that whenever I was driving, I listened to. I'm pretty sure that those were people whose music I've never heard before, but after playing that game, I would listen to that playlist on Spotify over and over again because I loved the music that was on there. So a lot of times when it comes to, like you brought up Beyond Good and Evil 2, even if someone does some really good work and is not directly paid for it, there's a good, probably 70-80% chance that depending on the work they did, they'll have a future in that career. Like Ubisoft will recognize that work that they did and be like, hey, do you want to come work for us? Because Ubisoft is that type of company. True. And so like that's what I could see here. Like even like they're going to directly pay the people who won. So probably they'll pay about $20,000, it seems like, for each track. But even if some people don't win, Ubisoft may be like, hey, that was some really good work. And like, they'll get their name out there, and that's another thing, is some people don't mind not getting paid if they get their name out there, because then they have the more likelihood of getting a future career path in that field.
Because that's half the battle, is just getting your, if anybody understands that, it's definitely us, just getting our name out there and having people listen to us, because obviously like there's that old additive. It's like, well, what are we doing here? We're doing news. Who else does gaming news? Who else does nerd related news? A ton of freaking people. You know what I mean? So what makes it different? Nick and Nate. It's
Nick and Nate. Nick and Nate. It's always great with Nick and Nate.
Nick and Nate.
I'm Nate.
So it's like, that's what makes this show. That's what makes this team. We have a certain set of team members here, and that's what makes us. And whether or not you like it or whatever, that's going to be one thing or the other. But getting our name out there and just getting the chance to show people who we are and whether or not they're going to like us in the first place, that's half the battle. You know what I mean? So I do see it from the standpoint of, hey, they're just happy to get their name out there. But I also could see it from the standpoint that, you may or may not win, so therefore you may or may not get paid for what you're doing. But I feel like, and this just might be, I don't know, too, uppity of me, but it's like, I feel like that's what you do when you make music. You make music. If you're not already signed with somebody, every time you make even a single note of music, you're doing it because hopefully you're passionate about it. Obviously, that's number one. But then number two, you're doing it in the hopes of getting discovered. Every second of this, podcast, of this show, we're hoping that second gets heard by somebody, and that second gets them interested enough to go, hey, I'm going to listen to this more. So I feel like as a creator, it's kind of, I don't know, like, I feel like it is maybe a little hyperbolic to just be like, oh, well, they're just, they're taking advantage of these people. It's like, but they're willingly putting their stuff out there.
Exactly. And I've heard some other people talk about this story, and a good additive that they use. Actually, I'd heard it. One of the places I heard it from was Kind of Funny Games Daily. And the people that were on there, they had, I believe it was Greg and Trisha Hirschberger. She put in a good analogy of voiceover work. Greg Miller from Kind of Funny, he's done voiceover work before. He's not like Troy Baker, or he's not like the top tier person that like Nolan North.
Right.
But she was like, okay, let's say they did this for voiceover. Is Troy going to put his stuff in there? No. He's a professional that gets paid for the work that he does. This is, if they were doing like, hey, send us this line of, like, we're going to show you this line of dialogue, send us your take, and you could be in the game.
Right.
That's people who are going to do that are people who want to get involved in this industry and up and comer, so to speak. So that's the people who are going to contribute to this. You're not going to have like professional musicians out there. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are professional musicians on Hit Record, but you're not going to have like DJ Khaled. DJ Khaled's not going to submit his stuff for here, you know, because he doesn't need it. You know, I think this is a good initiative to get the community involved. And I honestly want to see this more going forward. You know, there's a lot, like not everybody, a lot of people love video games. So if we can make this kind of a common norm to be like, hey, the games that you love, do you want to help us in some way contribute to the game that you love? That's an awesome initiative. And I hope that this continues to go forward.
Yeah. And I mean, in general, I do feel like it might be, you know, it might be kind of silly to say that, oh, you're taking jobs away from people. I feel like the initiative they started for Beyond Good and Evil, I feel like that was straight up taking jobs away from people because they're like, hey, put songs in the game. But this one, I feel like they learned from that and they kind of focused a little more. So instead of making all the tracks in the game, you're making 10. And once again, like I said,
for the radio station.
Yeah, for the radio station. It's not even the game, it's the radio station. So there could be tons of people who never even listen to the radio station. They might have it off because they find it annoying or something like that. You know what I mean? So and once again, this could be 10 to 5% of what's already in the game. And I feel like that's good. That's good enough to say that. And I feel like it is a clear like evolution of what they did for Beyond Good and Evil 2. And who knows, since the game's not out, we don't even know how many songs are in Beyond Good and Evil 2 that are people's songs or lines, or you know what I mean? Like we don't even know what exactly is being done for that. And I feel like maybe you know, people are making, you know, a bigger deal than it is, because this is really just a competition, you know, and it'd be the same for American Idol. People spend money on plane tickets to go to a city that has auditions. People spend money, they spend time off of work to go there, you know, and especially if they make it into the next round and they go to Vegas, they're not getting paid for that. You know, they might be getting paid for like their room and maybe some food, but they're not getting paid for that. So they're taking off time for work. They're taking, you know, they're flying all the way. I mean, I think if you make it to Vegas in American Idol, I think they give you the ticket. So they might not be paying for that, but obviously you have, you know, you have room, you have boarding, you have a whole bunch of stuff that they might help out with, but they might not pay for every single thing. You know, and this is kind of a similar sense that it's like they're trying out for a show. And if they get in, great, they at least get paid immediately. Versus if you do American Idol or if you do other giveaways, you have to be the top person. You have to be the top person. And even then, it's like, okay, yay, you got your face into Borderlands 3 or something like that. You know what I mean? That's all you got. Whereas these people, they're doing a job. And if they did it good enough, they get paid for it.
Yeah,
and they get their name out there. And once again, the getting their name out there part of the equation is, I feel like, the most value to it. That's what adds the most value to it.
And that's the thing that I think people are not really paying attention to, is that's what Hit Record is. A lot of people who put their stuff out there aren't expecting to get paid for it. They just want to create. So you're basically just saying, hey, do what you're already doing, but if you win, we'll put you in the game and we'll give you $2,000.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I think the fact that money's involved in it is why people are complaining about it.
True. And I mean, like, I can sort of get that to a certain degree, but at the same time, like, it's not the entire radio station. It's not the entire list of, and so I feel like that's the part I just feel like that's being blown out. It's not everything. And I mean, obviously we're kind of repeating ourselves here. So, I mean, we don't want to do that too much here. But I mean, definitely a lot of interesting stuff coming from Ubisoft in general. Some of it might be good, some of it might be bad. You know, they're obviously still the kings of like 80 different editions of every game that comes out, you know, and on top of that, they're like, oh, hey, would you like this subscription thing? But I mean, obviously the good thing there is once again, we pointed out that in the subscription, you're getting the gold edition, you're getting the ultimate edition.
Ubisoft has a lot of goodwill. Like they are a really goodwill company. So it's one of those that it's going to, like, it works until it doesn't, and then they'll fix it.
Right. But I feel like out of the top 3, EA, Activision, Ubisoft, out of the top 3 that are out there to make money, I mean, I feel like they do it in the most non-evil way. And I feel like, when's the last time we heard about mass layoffs from an Ubisoft company?
You haven't. Like, they recorporate. They reuse them.
Do I like the fact that they have a gold edition, a deluxe edition, a diamond edition, a ultimate diamond edition of Division? Do I like that they do that? But no. But am I going to buy it? No. So obviously it's not for me. You know, they have all these different things so that they can make money, because they are a business that makes money. And when you put out a product and you put additive things in there, people will pay more money for it if they want to. And if they don't have to. But out of all the evil, maniacal things that EA and Activision do, Ubisoft are freaking saints. Not saying they're perfect, not saying that every company should be like them, but I'm saying in the sense that they could do worse, and EA and Activision do worse. Like, they are, if EA and Ubisoft, or if EA and Activision were more like Ubisoft and they didn't lay off people and they were more, I don't know, creative. I mean, Destiny was Activision. Look what happened when Destiny left Activision. They're doing so many steps to make it better, and that's all because of Bungie. So it's like, Ubisoft is just a really good company, and obviously we don't want to be sucking their, too much or whatever. We want to know your opinion. What do you think about Ubisoft in general? What do you think about their games, their way they run their company? What do they know? Once again, you can go to @TX3 Productions or threatx3productions.com, threatx3productions@gmail.com, or you can go to our Discord. Our Discord is always going to be in the description. It's always going to be pinned to the top of our Twitter account. So you can have a conversation. Let us know what you guys think about it. What do you think about everything? So, I mean, pretty much that's going to be this edition of your weekly nerdy news. Thank you so much for joining us. I was Nick.
And I was Nate.
And join us next week for your weekly nerdy news. Tomorrow, we're going to have your morning grind. So make sure to tune in for that. Boom. We went a little over, but that is totally fine. All right, I gotta fucking move. My back is killing me. Oh, dear God. Oh, man. So, if you guys didn't already know, I'm bedridden. So it's like, now I'm just like sitting on the edge of my bed, and I'm just like, that was a good one. That was a good one. I feel like that was definitely different than the last, nightly nerdy news that we did.
There's only one change I would make.
What's that?
To, like, going forward, like, before we get into it, say what, like, give an example. So, like, at the beginning, it's like, this segment, we're going to cover the headlines and gaming news instead of just jumping straight into it, kind of, especially for people who are just not tuning in. No, we just went straight into it. We're like, this is for your video game related news. Oh, okay. Well, I meant like, like we're going to go through the headlines, like kind of give a frame of what we're going to do.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm not.
I can probably explain.
I think when I started, the weekly, did I even call it the weekly quest log? I can't remember.
Yeah, you did.
But I do remember saying this is all your video game related news. And then Dauntless, I started that way, but I don't think I did the same for This Week in Nerd Culture. I don't think I did the same explanation, and so that might be why you think I didn't. But I know I did it for the gaming one, because I'm like, this is all your. So when I said This Week in Nerd Culture, I didn't specify this is going to be video game, or this is going to be movies, comic books, and . So I don't think I specified what This Week in Nerd Culture is. So yeah, that time, as far as that, I think we do need to make sure to do a better job at that. But I mean, as far as like the flow of it, I feel like this flow was way better than the last one.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And I do feel like it was more professional, because we had our headlines and we talked a little bit about each one, but it definitely wasn't the long, drawn out conversations. It was pretty much here, whoever read the headline, the other person gave their opinion, then the person who read the headline gave their opinion, then we moved on. Versus, like Nerd to the Third, we talk about one headline for the entire like first portion, then go on to the games we've been playing. Whereas like I feel like we found the good pace, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. The pace was spot on.
Yeah. I feel like we didn't linger too much on one topic, and we didn't, give too little information at the same time. But then when it came to the topic of the show, we went as off topic as we want. Like doing Stadia and start talking about that. I feel like that fit with the topic of the show motif, because it's like we can go on tangents when it comes to that, but when it came to the headlines, we very much were on topic. Here's this one, but also in a way that it still felt like you were getting our opinion. So I feel like this one was definitely way better in that sense. And then Morning Grind will be nice because it's like I have a lot to talk about, on Morning Grind or whatever. Did we want to do like a PSA for the Hubcast channel? Did you still want to do that, or do you want to not do it at all? Because like honestly, I have a completely different opinion about it now.
If we did something, I could see us putting up a little blurb being like, "Hey guys, so I could see doing, hey guys, it's come to our attention that we were I could see us doing like a little blurb."
Yeah,
I think that probably would be good.
10 minutes, honestly.
Yeah, say something like, "Hey guys, it's come to our attention that what we thought was the case turned out to not be, and so for the sake of not spreading misinformation, we wanted to just kind of say we were wrong." And
I mean, we could even title it like "We Were Wrong" or something like that.
Yeah.
So do you just want to do that right now?
I accidentally stopped the timer instead of marking it.
Okay. So you could just
start a new one.
Yeah. Just find the end of this one and go 10 minutes. Or you can do your clap. You want to do your clap? Would you like to clap, Nate? Or we can start a new one. I mean, it's not going to take that much time, obviously. It's up to you.
I mean, I guess that would make for post-show content.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we could just do it here. I'll just start a new one and When are we meeting with Crystal?
10:30 your time. So
it's 11 my time.
What?
It's 11 my time.
Sorry, 11:30 your time.
Okay, I was like, we're way past that.
That's what I meant. 11:30 your time.
Okay, let me go pee real quick.
Okie dokie.
I got pee pee.
I gotta go pee pee.
I gotta go pee pee. Also, my ass hurts.
All right. Hey guys, thanks for sticking with us and working for us. So, no, but I'd like to. I really want to. I really want you. I want you so bad.
My ass hurts. Jesus. What I don't know if you were talking in the pre-show. I don't know if you heard me. It's funny. This is a different turn of events where typically you pay your employees, whereas they're paying us.
Well, I mean, Kevin and them have already pointed out that they're probably going to cancel their Patreon or whatever, which is obviously like I 100% agree with that. You should not have to, obviously.
Yeah,
but I mean, we'll still, honestly, to you guys, you can still be in Well, I mean, as soon as I get fucking Discord back from that douchebag, as soon as I get it back, then you guys will have access to the Patreon page, which means you'll have access to the Patreon or whatever. Like, you'll have access to it anyways, because we will make you, the gold staff, basically. I would have already made you staff if I fucking could, but I fucking can't because fucking Link.
So I take it you haven't had a conversation yet?
No.
He just said he wants to talk.
And he said he wants to talk, and then fucking got back to playing League of Legends instead of fucking talking to me. Like,
did you message say, "Hey, I can talk now"?
I told him that I'm on fucking medical leave, so he can call me morning, noon, or night. And if it takes him talking to me, just fucking talk to me. I didn't say it in all those words, but I don't know.
Say it with all the fucks.
I didn't say it with all the fucks. Like, this is literally what I said. Let's see. Bloop, bloop. Okay. Look, I've been on medical leave and will be all week. Please contact me anytime you want to. Morning, noon, night. Please, if you need to talk, let's talk. But I hope you will give me back the ownership like agreed. Please stop making me wait. Contact me ASAP.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's a little freaking annoyed or whatever. But yeah, I'm fucking annoyed. This motherfucker already said that he would give me the ownership back. And then literally a month later, like I looked at the message log. It's been 1 month. I contacted him on June 15th. And basically what I said was, hey, you said you were going to do some changes and then give them back. I would really like to see, I would really like to have the ownership back. I mean, I know you wanted to do some more stuff, but, I think it's been long enough if you could give it back. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'll see what I can do when I get home. That was a fucking month ago.
By the way, Mavcop responded back in Discord. He said, I talk shit to you, but I'm too busy making the world spin. So fuck you, Mavcop.
Ooh.
Okay. All right. Yeah, okay. Do you already kind of have a frame reference what you're going to say?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So starting the timer and clap.
Yay. Clap your hands. Clap your hands. Clap your hands. I can make your hands clap. All right. A dairy, legendary. Hey guys, we just wanted to do a quick PPSA. We need to do a quick PP on your chest. Sorry, that was too R. Kelly. We're gonna take that back. I'm just kidding, guys. It wasn't that funny.
It's funny because I wasn't expecting it.
Anyway, so we have a quick PSA for you. We were wrong. I'm sorry, we were wrong. There's definitely some information that has been going around the internet, basically saying that what we said last week, or yeah, it's last week by now, that progression is halted after like 10 levels and stuff like that. Basically, we didn't know that the gold bar in your progression is essentially your progression bar. And you could keep going through that and keep getting battle passes through it. It's just that each time you go through it, it goes up a little bit, but then it resets at the week. So like yesterday, Tuesday, so it's Wednesday when we recorded this. Yesterday, Tuesday, it reset back to 9,000 and then up to whatever thousand, and then it'll continue to increase. So it resets every week. And so me and Nate based a lot of our opinions on the fact that we thought that there was no progression, essentially. That everything that you were getting, or the only way to get battle passes was through challenges. That's essentially what our opinions were based off of. Now, challenges still help you get through it faster, but you can essentially grind one character nonstop and get battle passes that way. And that's something we didn't know you could do. And honestly, I feel like there's two people at fault. Obviously, me and Nate, we're one person. We're actually the same person. I just grow a beard.
I grow a beard. Thank you.
Yeah. But we're wrong because we should have done a little bit more research, and we're going to change that, and we'll tell you a little bit more in just a second. But then two, I feel like a part of that is Respawn. They made it confusing by not making that gold bar the progression bar. Even if all I did was drop and maybe get 2 hits on a person and then die, I would still get experience from that. That experience would still go towards the gold bar. So the gold bar is your progression. And so it would still be nice to have the gold bar as our progression bar, because that was one of the things I said on the last show, that, at the end of a match, it would show all your experience, and then it would show what your rank was, but it didn't show what your battle pass progression was. And I was like, this sucks. And that's basically where the misinformation started. That's where the confusion started. And it's not just us. There's plenty of people on Facebook, Reddit, who kind of had the same idea as us. And it definitely could have been fixed just by Respawn making the gold bar our progression bar. At the end of every match, have the progression bar show up and have it, show how much stars and or XP that we got for that round. And I feel like that could have cleared up a lot of confusion. However, it's obviously not all Respawn's fault. They did put out a press release saying that this is how it was going to work. While I still think it was a little confusing, because it's like, oh, okay, it resets after every week, I still think it's a little confusing. However, it is something that we should have done. Now, what can we do for the future? Well, we have gotten somebody on the team, Mavcop. He's from our Discord. He's been our biggest cheerleader. He's one of our Patreons. Mavcop is going to start helping us. We have essentially, quote unquote, hired him, because obviously we're not making money off of this, but we've hired him as our producer / researcher. So obviously we're still going to go out there. We're still going to do the sleuthing ourselves, which is what we do on a regular basis, but we're going to have him kind of there as our go-to. He's going to be our go-to guy. He's going to find the right articles for us. He's going to help us out with everything. It's still going to be a team effort. It's not like we're not going to be reading the articles or anything like that. We're still going to be going through and do a lot of stuff ourselves, but now we're going to have kind of a security blanket, if you will, where he's going to get out there and he's going to do the research for us and show us what we should be paying attention to, because, I'll be the first to admit, and I think we might have mentioned this in the past, but haven't really touched on it since, I don't really jump on Reddit. I don't understand Reddit that much. And so there's a lot of stuff that we might have missed from there. But even just the EA press release, that was something we definitely should have paid more attention to. We should have read more into, and whether it be, it's Thursday, we're trying to get out the episode or whatever. Point is, we still should have, to a certain degree, we still hold a majority of because we're the ones that put the content out, right?
Right. Yeah. Mavcop's basically going to be our fact checker. So whenever we think we're right, he's going to.
That's what I should have put it as. Yeah.
He's going to be there to let us know, hey, you're right or you're wrong. So yeah, the reason we're putting this out is, instead of waiting until next week, for the sake of not spreading misinformation, we thought it was important to put this PSA out so we wouldn't have to wait a week and then people be like, well, hey, you were actually wrong. Well, we realized a week later that we were wrong.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, like Nick was saying, and I want to put this out there, another PSA in the PSA. We're not deflecting. We are fully admitting that we are wrong in the situation. We should have done our research, because that's our responsibility as content creators to put out this content for you. We should know what we're talking about. At the time, we believed we did. And a lot of the internet thought so as well. A lot of the different articles that I specifically read and I looked through showed that the progression was challenge-based. Now, I did have a couple people, like my friend Anthony, who said what we discovered was, no, actually, like, that gold bar does. But like I said, we're not deflecting. However, it definitely was confusing. And I don't think it was confusing to just us.
Yeah.
That would have been different if that bar would have been on the main menu, like your normal bar is, like in the main lobby. But the fact that that gold bar is in the challenge menu with everything else further made it to believe that it was challenge based as far as progression goes. So we do apologize for that. We like we said, we're already making steps to make sure that doesn't happen again, because that's a big one.
Yeah.
If the election from 2016 taught us anything, misinformation is a bad thing. Not to get political there, but But misinformation can be really, really dangerous and really detrimental, and it could be detrimental to us because we don't want to lose goodwill with you guys. You guys have, we've said this before. Of all the content we've made, you guys have continued to support us like leaps and bounds in what we thought that we would receive from this show. Yeah. So it's important for us to let you know that we were wrong. We admit that we were wrong, and we'll be better. And so hopefully you take what we're saying to heart and don't just because you heard that bit of information say these guys don't know what they're talking about, I'm out. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully you're still sticking around. Yep. And if you are, awesome. You're going to have a fantastic episode next week. We're going to go deep in to some of the content that we didn't get to touch last episode and really kind of take a better look at season 2 from what we've played so far.
Yep. Speaking of what we played so far, I do feel like I have a new lease on life after the last episode, after kind of getting that different perspective of, my general progression also helps out my battle pass progression. Because basically before I was like, well, what I'm doing normally doesn't matter, so why should I try? I kind of had like a really negative look at it, and last episode was very negative. I'm proud to say that the next episode will be extremely positive, and I'll be able to start giving more positive looks at it because I've actually been having a lot of fun with the game. And so we're going to have more next episode, but we definitely felt the need to tell you guys what's what. And so I hope you guys will forgive us for that. And the most important part of this PSA is to show you that we are taking steps to be better. It's not just promising you that we are going to be better. It's showing you the steps that we're going to be taking by adding a third person who's going to be strictly, like he said, the fact checker, the researcher, and obviously we're still going to be doing stuff ourselves, but that was the most important part, to tell you guys this is the things we're doing. So, please stick with us. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for being here. And let's just continue to make this the best podcast out there. Unlike any of those other podcasts. Yeah. All right, that's enough of bull crap from us. Thank you guys for tuning in for this short ass PSA. You guys have a good one, and we will see you down in Kings Canyon, where it's gonna be
legend.
Wait for it. We should do that from now on.
We should. That was good.
All right. That's a good post show. Good post show. Wrap it up.
Right before you tap it. You said what? And I said, well, what? In the butt. You want to do it in my butt? In my butt?
You want to do what? In the butt.
Oh, that was another thing I missed on the Uplay thing. The South Park games are on there too.
Oh, yeah. Yay, South Park.
Oh, you know what we should have covered in Weekly Dirty News?
What?
The Area 51.
What's that? I don't know why everybody's tweeting about that. I saw it, but I don't understand what's going on.
You don't know what's going on?
No, I don't.
There was a Facebook group that started, I think it was a month ago, that literally was titled, Let's Storm Area 51. They can't stop all of us. And it gained traction because there's over like 1.5 million people that have it's an event that have said that they're going.
Oh my God.
And so news started picking it up that hey, 800,000 people are saying they're going to storm Area 51 in September. And then celebrities started getting in on it. Like there was articles saying Danny Trejo was like, I'm in. There's a picture of Mulder and Scully from, I think that's how you say their names, from X-Files. They're like, Area 51, here we come. And it's become a meme now. But some of them, it's getting to the point where that's all the memes I see on my page, and it's getting kind of fucking annoying. But there was one that was
the one where it's the old filter. I've seen so many people do that old filter. Why is that a thing? The old filter's been around for a while. Why did it suddenly?
I think it's a new one. I think it's a new one.
But why did it suddenly reemerge? I feel like it's been around for a while now.
Yeah. So hold on.
Craig Roger Smith, which is the voice of Mirage. Yeah, I've even seen his old version.
There was my favorite meme from this whole thing. There was a couple, but one of them was a picture, and it's the scene from Endgame whenever Thanos is putting his axe in Thor's chest, and it's me Thanos, Area 51 guard. Then he gets hit by something, and it says alien weapon from Lab 48, and it's Mjolnir. And then it's Captain America's like friend that clicked not going on the event. Thor, I knew it. Those have been my favorite, but yeah, that's what that's been about. Is there was a Facebook event that was like, let's storm Area 51. They can't stop us. And then the Air Force was like, hey, look, we'll if someone tries to storm, like to raid Area 51, we're there to defend it. And so it's like, oh, how's this gonna go? Oh, have you seen that time traveler meme? Mm-hmm. Oh, you haven't? That's a really good one, because there was an Area 51 one where it was like me. Oh, I can't wait until September 20th. Time traveler. Oh, you mean the Area 51 massacre of 2019? Me. What? But it's like that's been a really fun meme. It's like, saying, hey, like, I can't. That's the main one that I saw, but the time traveler meme is a new one that's pretty funny. Mm. So yeah, I'm not going because I don't feel like flying into Nevada, and I don't feel like dying.
Yeah, right. Well, it does make you wonder. Like, they can't just absolutely, like, if there's that many people, like, they can't just open fire, right?
If they do, like, that's sketchy,
right? But at the same time, they are breaking and entering in a military facility. So doesn't the military have the right to do that?
They do, but it's one of those that if that happens in the public, they have full legality over that. They can totally do that, and they're within terms of the law. But if that happens publicly, people are going to be like, oh, like they're like, why? Like, it's one of those that why would this Area 51 need to be guarded that bad if they're willing to kill civilian U.S. citizens? So yeah, it's one of those, for a PR move, it wouldn't be smart.
Yeah, right.
I highly doubt 1 million people are going, but
right. It does make you wonder, out of those 1 million, how many of them are just doing it for the memes versus like how many people are like legit, like, okay, let's do this.
Oh, Anthony. Oh, speaking of, Anthony had a fucking great one. Let me find it. His shit made me laugh so fucking hard. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, let me get to it. He says, just to be clear, I would like to state to the FBI, CIA, Mark Zuckerberg, Donald Trump, and Will Smith that I am not involved in any form with the impending attempt to invade Area 51 in Nevada. I would also like to clarify for the FBI, CIA, Mark Zuckerberg, Donald Trump, and Will Smith that any memes of the impending invasion of Area 51 liked by myself were made in jest and in no way were intended to implicate myself with the impending invasion.
Who sent that?
Anthony. Anthony said that. The fact that he pointed out Will Smith, everyone was like, that's fucking solid.
Okay, I get it. Yes, ma'am. What's up?
Nothing.
Would everybody like to see the glowing?
No.
The glowing mother.
How far along?
We literally just found out. So
okay, so. Have you done the doctor's visit yet?
2 pregnancy tests say otherwise. We're doing the pregnancy test after the meeting with Crystal, actually. So
the doctor's visit.
We gotta somewhat make that
you realize
quick.
I have to leave at night. Great.
Yeah. We have the meeting with her at 10:30. So we'll try to make it quick. Actually, you know what? Let's stop this and see if she's ready now, so we can get that out of the way. So we can be done by 10:45 my time, because it's 10:18 right now. We have an appointment at 11. So yeah, let's stop this and get that going. Okay.
All right. I'll start up a new Hangout, and then I'll send you the link. You can send it to her.
We're just gonna do it on Discord.
Oh, okay. Okay. What chat do you want to go into?
It needs to be a private one, but give me a second. Just stop
staff meeting.
Yeah, there you go. Stop the recording.